increased by their own means, and my people love to have it so. And what a lot of people love to hear a false gospel.
They do.
People love to hear that Jesus Christ other than the one described in the Bible. Because that Jesus make them feel good. And make them feel good in their sin and make it feel good in their iniquity. The standard of God is holiness. The Gospel of Matthew chapter 5 verse 48 says this: be ye perfect, for your Father in heaven is perfect. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 16 says this. It says, for it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy.
All right.
He won't talk about no holiness church either. He is talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 5 says this. It says, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. So if there's one Lord, one faith, one baptism, how come we got every denomination in America and the United States today, and they all preaching another faith, they all abiding by a different baptism, and they all worshiping a different God?
Yes.
When are we going to preach? When are we going to get to the root of the scriptures?
Go ahead.
The root of the scriptures. Of what the Bible presents about the New Testament church, or the New Covenant church, the first century church, because, I'm going to say this. The book of Acts chapter 17 verse 24 says this. It says, God who made the world and all things that dwell therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in a temple made with hands. Acts chapter 7 verse 48 says, howbeit the Most High does not dwell in a temple made with hands. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1, it says, even if our earthly house of this tabernacle be dissolved, we have a heavenly kingdom, a building of God not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. So the first century church, they realized that God does not dwell in a temple made with hands, and so therefore they didn't focus on a church building. They all met in homes. They recognized that God is too large to fit in some box or some building. And they realized that God dwells inside of the souls of the people. We are the church. As described in 1 Corinthians chapter 3:16, it says that we are the temple of God. It wasn't until the time of Constantine that people started using the phrase "go to church," and they would use that phrase "go to church" and use the term "church" to refer to a building. But before then, it had never been before used. That's why when Jesus Christ was in the synagogues, he tore down the money changers and said, tear down this temple, and in 3 days I will build it back up. He was doing it to show us that he was going to bring about a new order. And that order was worshiping God in spirit and in truth. Verse 24. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So that means all these traditions that the religious people thought would make them spiritual, Jesus Christ was against that. So when we on the streets and we say that tradition isn't really following the truth of God, they're ready to call us heretics. And the reason why, if you truly follow in the walk of Jesus Christ, you're going to be rejected by most. You're going to be hated by many. Because you're going to be walking the way that Christ was walking. Jesus said in John chapter 14 verse 6, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. And he turned around in Matthew chapter 10 verse 22, he said, and you will be hated by all men for my name's sake. But he that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. So when we truly walking like God, when we truly walking like Jesus Christ, we realize that the majority of the people today, they don't want to hear nothing about God. They don't want to know about Jesus Christ, the truth of Jesus Christ. Because if they did, they would realize that they will have to make a 180-degree turnaround. So what people have done is, just like the Galatians, this is what the disciple was describing earlier in Galatians 1:10. He was saying, do I now persuade men? Because if I am a people pleaser, I can't be a servant of God. I can't be a servant of God. What the Galatians did was, they watered down the gospel of Jesus Christ. They watered it down to bring people to Christ. And their primary focus was the salvation of souls. And so their mindset was like, well, we need to do whatever we can to lead somebody to Christ. So they watered down the history of Jesus Christ. They watered down the gospel, and they watered down his message. Just like what's going on today.
That's right.
A lot of these people on TV. A lot of these people on TV. I've heard most of it. I heard one of them say, they said, well, of course the prosperity gospel is going to lead people to Christ because everybody wants money. And that came right out of TBN.
That's right.
And so what the same thing that was going on in the Bible, in the biblical days, are definitely going on today. They're using the same gimmicks and they're using the same schemes to lead people to Christ. But what they don't recognize is they're leading people to a false impression of Jesus Christ. And so therefore, if they have the wrong impression of Jesus Christ, that's one of the primary reasons that their lives are not being transformed.
That's right.
Because their lives are being dictated by an idol God, by another Jesus, by the wrong gospel.
All right.
That's why Revelation chapter 3, verse 15, it says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou art cold or hot.
Go ahead.
In Revelation 3:16, it says, so then because thou art and neither cold nor hot, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. That's what the Lord says. He says he's going to spit them out of his mouth. And that's the reason why we have a lukewarm standard. Because we have a lukewarm impression of Jesus Christ. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to reevaluate everything that we learned.
That's right.
It says that a little leaven leavens the whole lump. So if we have one small thing that's wrong, it could mess up and deter and tear down the whole foundation. Because the foundation is not being built on the rock of Jesus Christ. Disciple, can you turn to Romans chapter 15?